Have you ever looked around your home and felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff you've accumulated over the years? If so, you're not alone. Clutter has a way of creeping into our lives, filling up our closets, attics, and even our minds. Every item we own carries a story, a memory, a sense of security, or even a promise of a future we once envisioned for ourselves. Decluttering isn't just about clearing physical space. It's an emotional journey that requires us to examine our past, our attachments, and even our anxieties about what lies ahead. While many people talk about the benefits of a tidy, organized home, less stress, increased productivity, and a sense of calm, few discuss the emotional turmoil that comes with letting go. Why is it so hard to part with things we no longer need? Often, it's because those objects are tied to our identity or a version of ourselves we're reluctant to leave behind. Whether it's an old dress that reminds you of a younger, more vibrant self, or stacks of books you intended to read but never did, each object represents a decision, a memory, or even a sense of unfinished business. Today, on Golden Years Balance, we'll uncover 5 harsh truths about decluttering that no one tells you, but that you absolutely need to know. These insights will challenge your perspective and help you see decluttering not just as a chore, but as an opportunity for personal transformation. By confronting these truths, you can let go of not just physical clutter, but also the mental and emotional baggage that's been weighing you down. Let's explore how clearing your space can ultimately clear your mind, allowing you to move forward with greater clarity and purpose. Truth number 1, every item holds a piece of your identity. When you hold an old book, a piece of clothing, or a sentimental gift, you're not just touching an object, you're holding onto a memory. This is why decluttering isn't just about making space, it's about deciding which parts of your past to keep and which to let go of. Objects have a way of intertwining with our identities, shaping our emotions, and even influencing our decisions about the future. Objects often serve as tangible reminders of moments, relationships, and identities we have built over time. This emotional attachment can make it difficult to part with certain items, even when they no longer serve a practical purpose in our lives. For example, consider an old sweater that belonged to a loved one who has passed away. It may no longer be fashionable or in good condition, but every time you hold it, you feel a connection to that person. Or perhaps there's a stack of letters from an old relationship reminding you of who you were and the emotions you experienced at the time. These items serve as anchors to the past, making it challenging to let them go. Mrs. Linda, a retired teacher, had a bookshelf filled with textbooks and lesson plans from her 30-year career. Every time she considered donating them, she hesitated. If I give these away, am I still a teacher? She wondered. Her identity had been so deeply tied to her profession that parting with the books felt like erasing a piece of herself. Eventually, she realized that her knowledge and experience weren't stored in those books. They were part of who she was. She donated them to a local school, knowing they would benefit young minds rather than collect dust in her home. The act of letting go allowed her to redefine herself beyond her career and embrace the next chapter of her life with openness. Why we struggle to let go. There are several psychological reasons why letting go of possessions can be so difficult. 1. Sentimental value. Items connected to significant people, places, or events evoke emotions, making them feel irreplaceable. 2. Fear of loss. Letting go can feel like losing a part of oneself or erasing an important aspect of one's history. 3. A sense of security. Some people hold on to items because they believe they may need them in the future, even if they haven't used them for years. 4. Identity attachment. Possessions can reinforce a sense of self, making it challenging to separate who we are from what we own. 5. Guilt. Discarding gifts or heirlooms can feel disrespectful to the person who gave them, leading to unnecessary emotional burden. One of the most powerful realizations in life is that your identity is not confined to the things you own. True identity is shaped by experiences, values, and relationships, rather than material belongings. Here's how you can begin to detach your sense of self from your possessions. Reflect on what truly defines you. Are you a musician because you own a collection of instruments, or because music is part of your soul? Are you a writer because of your stacks of notebooks, or because your words and thoughts hold power. Shift your perspective. Instead of seeing decluttering as a loss, view it as an opportunity to pass on meaningful objects to those who will appreciate and use them. Capture the memory, not the object. If an item holds significant meaning, consider taking a photo of it or writing about its importance. The memory will always be with you, even if the object is not. Practice gradual letting go. If parting with items feels overwhelming, start small. Let go of one thing at a time and notice how it impacts your emotions and space. Embrace change. Recognize that evolving as a person means making room for new experiences, new relationships, and new identities. Letting go of certain possessions is a natural part of this growth. Minimalism is not just about owning fewer things. It's about making conscious choices about what truly adds value to your life. Many people find that decluttering leads to greater clarity, freedom, and peace of mind. When you are no longer weighed down by unnecessary possessions, you have more mental and emotional energy to focus on what really matters. A common misconception about minimalism is that it requires getting rid of everything. In reality, minimalism is about keeping what serves you and releasing what doesn't. It allows you to create a life that aligns with your values rather than being defined by material accumulation. Take Mark, for instance. He spent decades collecting vintage cameras, believing that they defined his passion for photography. However, over time, his collection became more of a burden than a source of joy. The cameras sat unused, and the clutter in his home started to feel overwhelming. One day he made the difficult decision to sell most of his collection, keeping only a few sentimental pieces. To his surprise, instead of feeling a loss, he felt a newfound sense of freedom. He realized that his love for photography wasn't tied to the number of cameras he owned. It was in his ability to capture moments and express creativity. By letting go of the unnecessary, he rediscovered his passion in a more meaningful way. Decluttering does not mean stripping your life of everything meaningful. Instead, it's about making intentional choices about what stays and what goes. Here are some guiding questions to help you decide. Does this item bring me joy or serve a practical purpose? Am I keeping this out of guilt or obligation? Does this item reflect who I am today, or am I holding on to a past version of myself? If I let go of this, will I still have the memory or lesson it represents? By answering these questions, you can begin to curate a space that aligns with your present self rather than being trapped in the past. Your identity isn't in the things you own. It's in the experiences, wisdom, and memories you carry with you. Holding on to unnecessary items won't preserve the past. It only makes it harder to move forward. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you create space for new opportunities, deeper connections, and a life that is truly aligned with who you are. Next time you find yourself struggling to part with an item, remember this. You are not your possessions. You are the stories, lessons, and love that make up your journey. And that is something no object can ever define. Truth number 2. Guilt makes letting go harder than it should be. Letting go of possessions can be an emotional process, especially for seniors who have accumulated a lifetime of memories, experiences, and sentimental items. One of the biggest obstacles to decluttering is guilt, the nagging feeling that getting rid of something is wasteful, disrespectful, ungrateful. This guilt can manifest in several ways. Guilt over wasted money, feeling that discarding unused or expensive items means admitting financial waste. Guilt over gifts from loved ones, worrying that donating or throwing away a gift is an insult to the person who gave it. Guilt over sentimental items, struggling to part with objects that hold personal history, even if they no longer serve a purpose. Guilt over responsibilities, feeling a duty to keep family heirlooms or inherited belongings, even when they create clutter and stress. James, a retired financial consultant, had a closet full of expensive suits he hadn't worn in over a decade. Each suit reminded him of the professional life he once had, the meetings he attended, and the status he held. Even though he no longer needed them, he hesitated to let them go. He felt guilty for spending so much money on them, for not making more use of them, and for parting with something tied to his identity. His daughter helped him see things differently. "Dad, these suits could help someone land their first job. You're not wasting them, you're giving them a second life." With this new perspective, Mr. James was able to donate them to a local charity, feeling proud rather than guilty. Instead of seeing his decluttering as a loss, he reframed it as an act of generosity. The psychology behind guilt and decluttering. 1. Why do we feel guilty? Guilt is a natural emotional response that arises when we feel we have done something wrong. When it comes to decluttering, guilt often stems from deeply ingrained beliefs. Getting rid of this means I'm being wasteful. Many people associate discarding items with wastefulness, forgetting that holding on to unused things is just as wasteful. If I let this go, I am disrespecting the giver. The emotional weight of gifts can be heavy, even when the giver would not expect us to keep them forever. This object is part of my identity. Some possessions symbolize past achievements, relationships, or dreams, making it difficult to separate the object from its meaning. 2. How guilt holds us back. Guilt can prevent people from making rational decisions about their belongings. Instead of focusing on whether an item is useful or necessary, they focus on the emotions tied to it. This can lead to accumulation of clutter, holding on to items just in case, even when they no longer serve a purpose. Emotional burden, feeling overwhelmed by the weight of unnecessary possessions. Delayed decision-making, struggling to make progress in decluttering because every object carries an emotional dilemma. How to overcome guilt and let go. 1. Reframe your perspective. Instead of viewing decluttering as getting rid of things, see it as an opportunity to pass things on to people who need them more. For example, clothing. Donating old clothes can help someone in need feel confident for a job interview. Books. Giving books to a library or school can allow others to enjoy the knowledge you once cherished. Furniture. Passing down furniture to a young family or charity can help furnish a new home for someone starting out. 2. Ask yourself key questions. When struggling to part with an item, ask, does this item bring me joy or stress? Would I buy this again today? Is keeping this item serving me or weighing me down? Am I holding on to this out of love or obligation? Could this item have a second life with someone else? 3. Give yourself permission to let go. Recognize that it's okay to move on. Letting go of an item does not mean you are wasting money because the money has already been spent. You are disrespecting a loved one because their love is not tied to an object. You are erasing a memory because memories live in your heart, not in material things. 4. Create a memory box for the most meaningful items. Instead of keeping everything, select a few sentimental items that truly hold value. A small memory box can house letters, photographs, or heirlooms that genuinely bring happiness without taking up too much space. 5. Practice gradual decluttering. If letting go feels overwhelming, take small steps. Start with non-sentimental items, expired food, old magazines, broken electronics. Set a goal to declutter one drawer, shelf, or closet at a time. Use the one in, one out rule. If you bring in something new, let go of something old. 6. Honor the item in a new way. For particularly meaningful objects, find creative ways to preserve their memory without keeping the physical item. Take a photo before donating or discarding it. Write a story about why the object was meaningful to you. Repurpose it into something useful, e.g. turning an old dress into a quilt. 7. Seek support from family or a community. Decluttering is easier with support. Involve family members, friends, or even a professional organizer to help with decision-making. Sometimes an outside perspective can help reframe guilt into gratitude. 8. Reflect on the freedom decluttering brings. Instead of focusing on loss, focus on what you gain by letting go. More space in your home, less stress and mental clutter, easier organization and access to things you actually use. The joy of giving to those in need. Guilt should never be the reason you hold on to things that no longer serve you. Every item in your home should add value to your life, either by being useful, beautiful, or deeply meaningful. If an item no longer serves you, let it serve someone else. Like Mr. James and his suits, you can turn guilt into generosity. Instead of feeling burdened by objects, feel empowered by the freedom that comes with letting go. By shifting your mindset, you can embrace the decluttering process as an act of self-care, love, and renewal. The next time guilt creeps in while decluttering, remind yourself you are not losing something. You are gaining clarity, space, and peace of mind. Truth number 3, your family may not want your heirlooms. For generations, passing down heirlooms was a cherished tradition. Whether it was a fine china set, antique furniture, or a collection of photo albums, these items represented family history, love, and continuity. However, the modern era has brought about a shift in priorities. Younger generations are embracing minimalism, practicality, and digitalization. As a result, the sentimental value attached to physical possessions has diminished. This change can be painful for seniors who have spent a lifetime collecting and preserving items they believed would be treasured by their descendants. The reality is, today's younger generation often values experiences over objects, and their lifestyles may not accommodate large collections of heirlooms. A hard truth: heirlooms may not fit modern lifestyles. Mary, a grandmother of 4, took great pride in her fine china collection. She had received it as a wedding gift and had lovingly cared for it over the decades. She envisioned her granddaughter, Emily, using it to host elegant dinner parties, just as she had done. One day, Mary asked Emily if she would like to inherit the set. Emily hesitated before gently explaining that she lived in a small apartment and rarely hosted formal dinners. The thought of storing and maintaining delicate china simply didn't fit her lifestyle. At first, Mary was heartbroken. She had assumed Emily would cherish the china as much as she did, but rather than letting disappointment consume her, she chose to find a new home for it. She donated the set to a community centre where it would be used for special events. Knowing that it would bring joy to others gave Mary a sense of peace. Mary's experience is not unique. Across the world, countless parents and grandparents are realizing that their children may not want the possessions they have lovingly preserved. Whether it is antique furniture, collectibles, or even family jewelry, younger generations often prioritize mobility and practicality over nostalgia. The decline in attachment to heirlooms can be attributed to several societal changes. 1. Minimalist lifestyle trends. The younger generation is increasingly embracing minimalism. Books such as The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo have influenced people to declutter and only keep items that spark joy. Large furniture pieces, ornate china sets, and extensive collections of keepsakes often do not align with this philosophy. 2. Smaller living spaces. Unlike past generations, many young people today live in apartments or smaller homes due to high housing costs. They simply do not have the storage space for bulky heirlooms. A grand piano, a solid oak dining table, or a collection of heavy books might be impractical for someone who moves frequently or has limited space. 3. Changing social norms. In previous generations, formal dining and entertaining were common. Having a china cabinet filled with delicate plates and crystal glasses was a mark of status and tradition. Today, casual dining is the norm, and convenience often trumps formality. The need for elaborate dinnerware has diminished, making items like silverware sets and serving trays obsolete in many households. 4. The digital age family photos, letters, and even recipes that were once meticulously preserved in physical form are now being stored digitally. Younger generations are more likely to keep memories in cloud storage than in heavy dust-collecting albums. How to navigate this transition? 1. Have honest conversations early. Rather than assuming that family members will want your heirlooms, have open discussions with them. Ask what items they truly value and respect their decisions. You may be surprised to learn that they treasure a small, meaningful keepsake more than a large collection of antiques. 2. Reframe the meaning of legacy. Passing down love and wisdom is far more valuable than passing down objects. While heirlooms can be symbols of family history, the true legacy lies in the stories, values, and life lessons you share. 3. Find new homes for your heirlooms. If your family does not want certain items, consider donating them to museums, historical societies, or charitable organisations. Some organisations specifically accept heirlooms to preserve cultural heritage or help those in need. 4. Transform heirlooms into modern keepsakes. If large items are impractical, consider repurposing them into something meaningful and portable. For example, a piece of fabric from an old quilt can be turned into a framed artwork. Jewellery can be redesigned into modern pieces. Family recipes can be digitized and compiled into a book. 5. Accept change with grace. Change is inevitable and traditions evolve over time. It is natural to feel sadness when realizing that certain heirlooms may not be passed down. However, embracing this change with grace allows you to focus on the things that truly matter: relationships, love, and meaningful connections. Your heirlooms represent a lifetime of memories, but their true value lies in the stories they hold. Instead of clinging to objects, focus on passing down wisdom, values, and experiences. By embracing open communication and finding alternative ways to preserve your legacy, you can ensure that your family's history continues to thrive in a way that aligns with modern lifestyles. Truth number 4, clutter creates physical and mental stress. A cluttered home doesn't just take up space, it takes up mental energy. Studies show that excessive clutter increases stress, anxiety, and even depression. It also creates physical hazards, making daily tasks more difficult and increasing the risk of falls. Clutter affects the mind in several ways. Research has linked cluttered environments to higher cortisol levels, the stress hormone that contributes to feelings of anxiety and being overwhelmed. When our surroundings are disorganized, our brains struggle to focus, leading to reduced productivity and increased frustration. Instead of providing relaxation, a cluttered home becomes a source of mental exhaustion. Moreover, clutter has been associated with feelings of guilt and embarrassment. Many people avoid inviting friends or family over due to the state of their living spaces, leading to isolation and loneliness. Over time, these negative emotions can compound, affecting self-esteem and overall well-being. Beyond the mental toll, clutter can pose significant physical risks. As in the case of Mr. Harold, excessive items around the house increase the likelihood of trips and falls, particularly for older adults. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) reports that falls are a leading cause of injury among seniors, and many of these falls occur in homes filled with excess belongings. Clutter also contributes to fire hazards. Stacks of newspapers, cardboard boxes, and other flammable materials can quickly turn a minor accident into a dangerous blaze. Blocked exits and overloaded electrical outlets further increase the risk. The hidden costs of clutter. 1. Financial costs. Clutter isn't just a psychological and physical burden, it also comes with financial consequences. Many people spend money on storage units to keep items they don't need, essentially paying to hold on to clutter. Additionally, losing track of important items in a disorganized home can lead to unnecessary repurchases. 2. Time wasted. According to studies, the average person spends nearly an hour each day looking for misplaced items. Over the course of a year, this adds up to more than 2 weeks of lost time that could have been spent on more meaningful activities. 3. Emotional costs. Clutter can create tension among family members, especially in shared living spaces. Arguments about household cleanliness and organization are common sources of stress in relationships. A cluttered home can also be emotionally draining, as it serves as a constant reminder of unfinished tasks and responsibilities. Mr. Harold, an 82-year-old widower, had stacks of newspapers and magazines throughout his house. He insisted on keeping them just in case. One evening, he tripped over a pile and suffered a minor fracture. This incident was a turning point. He finally saw that holding on to unnecessary things was putting his health at risk. With the help of his son, he cleared out the clutter and felt a newfound sense of peace in his home. The hidden costs of clutter. 1. Financial costs. Clutter isn't just a psychological and physical burden, it also comes with financial consequences. Many people spend money on storage units to keep items they don't need, essentially paying to hold on to clutter. Additionally, losing track of important items in a disorganized home can lead to unnecessary repurchases. 2. Time wasted. According to studies, the average person spends nearly an hour each day looking for misplaced items. Over the course of a year, this adds up to more than 2 weeks of lost time that could have been spent on more meaningful activities. 3. Emotional costs. Clutter can create tension among family members, especially in shared living spaces. Arguments about household cleanliness and organization are common sources of stress in relationships. A cluttered home can also be emotionally draining, as it serves as a constant reminder of unfinished tasks and responsibilities. Mr. Harold, an 82-year-old widower, had stacks of newspapers and magazines throughout his house. He insisted on keeping them just in case. One evening, he tripped over a pile and suffered a minor fracture. This incident was a turning point. He finally saw that holding on to unnecessary things was putting his health at risk. With the help of his son, he cleared out the clutter and felt a newfound sense of peace in his home. Practical steps to declutter your home. Step 1. Start small. Decluttering doesn't have to be overwhelming. Begin with a small, manageable space like a single drawer or a corner of a room. Set a timer for 15 to 20 minutes and focus solely on that area. Step 2. The 3-box method. When decluttering, use 3 boxes. Keep items you use regularly and truly need. Donate, sell items in good condition that someone else could use. Trash items that are broken, expired, or no longer useful. Step 3. 1 in, 1 out rule. To prevent future clutter, adopt the 1 in, 1 out rule. Every time you bring something new into your home, remove an old item. Step 4. Create a maintenance routine. Decluttering isn't a one-time task. It's an ongoing process. Set a schedule to reassess different areas of your home regularly, whether weekly, monthly, or seasonally. Step 5. Let go of sentimental attachments. Many people hold on to items for sentimental reasons. While it's okay to keep a few meaningful possessions, consider taking photos of objects rather than keeping everything. Focus on preserving memories, not physical clutter. Your home should be a sanctuary, not a storage unit. The more you simplify your space, the easier and safer your life becomes. Decluttering isn't about perfection, it's about creating a living space that brings peace, joy, and security. Whether you're downsizing, organizing, or simply tidying up, each step toward a clutter-free life is a step toward improved well-being. Start today and experience the transformative power of a clean, organized home. Truth number 5, decluttering is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. Many people approach decluttering as a one-time project, something they do once and then never have to worry about again. They imagine that after a major cleaning spree, their home will remain neat and organized indefinitely. However, the reality is quite different. Life is dynamic, and so is the state of our surroundings. New items enter our homes, gifts arrive unexpectedly, trends change, and our needs evolve. Without an ongoing decluttering system, clutter inevitably returns. Decluttering is not just about organizing our physical space. It's about cultivating a lifestyle of simplicity, mindfulness, and intentionality. Understanding that this process is continuous rather than a single event can help you maintain a clutter-free and stress-free environment. Why clutter always returns? Clutter accumulates for several reasons, including constant influx of new items. We buy new clothes, gadgets, kitchenware, and decor regularly. Without a mindful approach, these new items quickly overwhelm our space. Emotional attachment. Many of us hold on to things for sentimental reasons, fearing regret if we let them go. Gifts and freebies. Whether from birthdays, holidays, or promotional events, we often receive things we didn't choose or need. Procrastination. It's easy to put off decluttering until later, but without consistent effort, small messes grow into overwhelming piles. Changing lifestyles, our needs change over time, making some possessions obsolete. However, unless we consciously remove these outdated items, they accumulate. Recognizing these clutter sources helps us create proactive strategies for maintaining a tidy environment. Rather than seeing decluttering as a one-time chore, it should be approached as a continuous habit, much like exercising or eating healthily. This shift in perspective makes it easier to stay organized in the long run. To develop a decluttering mindset, consider the following principles. Adopt the 1 in, 1 out rule. Each time you bring a new item into your home, remove an old one. This prevents excess accumulation and ensures balance. Practice minimalism in everyday life. Focus on keeping only what you truly use and love. Avoid impulse purchases and unnecessary acquisitions. Set decluttering rituals. Make tidying up a regular habit rather than a reaction to chaos. Allocate a few minutes each day or set aside a decluttering session weekly or monthly. Be mindful of emotional attachments. Letting go of items with sentimental value can be challenging, but holding on to everything just in case leads to clutter. Keep only the most meaningful pieces. Think of space as valuable real estate. Every item in your home occupies space. Treat that space as precious and prioritize what deserves to stay. Understanding that decluttering is a continuous process means integrating small, manageable habits into your routine. Here are some practical strategies to keep clutter under control. 1. Daily quick tidy up. Set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes each day to straighten up your space. This habit prevents clutter from piling up and makes weekly cleaning much easier. 2. The 12-12-12 challenge. This simple yet effective challenge helps maintain organization. Find 12 items to throw away. Find 12 items to donate. Find 12 items to return to their proper place. 3. Seasonal decluttering sessions. At the start of each season, assess your belongings. Clothes, decorations, and tools that haven't been used should be evaluated. If they no longer serve you, donate, sell, or discard them. 4. Declutter by category. Instead of tackling clutter room by room, try decluttering by category as suggested by the KonMari method. Focus on clothing. Keep only what fits and makes you feel good. If you struggle with deciding what to let go of, place questionable items in a maybe box. If you haven't used them in 3 to 6 months, it's time to part with them. 7. Limit storage space. More storage isn't always the answer. Instead of adding new shelves or containers, work within the space you already have. This forces you to prioritize what truly matters. Decluttering isn't just a physical task, it also involves emotional and psychological factors. Many people struggle with guilt or fear of regret when letting go of items. Here are ways to navigate these feelings. Reframe your perspective. Instead of focusing on loss, view decluttering as making space for new opportunities. Take photos of sentimental items. If you're attached to an item but don't need it, take a picture to preserve the memory before letting it go. Donate to a good cause. Knowing your items will help others can make it easier to part with them. Acknowledge growth and change. It's okay to outgrow things. Letting go allows you to embrace who you are now rather than who you were in the past. Decluttering extends beyond physical possessions. A truly clutter-free life also involves digital decluttering. Organize files, delete unused apps, and clean up email inboxes. Mental decluttering. Let go of unnecessary worries, negative thoughts, and commitments that no longer serve you. Social decluttering. Evaluate relationships and focus on those that bring positivity and growth. Financial decluttering. Simplify subscriptions, organize expenses, and remove unnecessary financial burdens. Decluttering isn't a one-and-done task, it's an evolving process. Life continuously introduces new things, and without consistent maintenance, clutter reappears. The key to a clutter-free environment is embracing decluttering as an ongoing habit, not a single event. By shifting your mindset, adopting simple strategies, and being mindful of what you bring into your space, you can cultivate a lifestyle of simplicity and intentionality. In doing so, you'll not only enjoy a cleaner and more organized home, but also experience greater mental clarity and peace of mind. Start small, stay consistent, and make decluttering a part of your everyday life. The benefits go far beyond just a tidy space. They extend to overall well-being and a greater sense of control over your life. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about making space for what truly matters. It's a conscious choice to surround yourself with what brings joy rather than what weighs you down. In many ways, letting go of physical clutter mirrors the process of emotional and mental decluttering. When we release what no longer serves us, we open ourselves up to new experiences, deeper connections, and a greater sense of peace. More importantly, decluttering is a reminder that our worth isn't tied to what we own, but to the life we live. It's easy to hold on to things out of nostalgia, fear, or the belief that they define us. But true freedom comes when we realize that memories live within us, not in the objects we collect. By letting go, we're not losing. We're making space for growth, clarity, and the things that truly align with who we are today. If you find yourself struggling to part with certain items, ask yourself, does this add value to my life? Does it serve a purpose or bring me joy? If not, perhaps it's time to let it go with gratitude, knowing that its role in your journey has been fulfilled. Your past has shaped you, but it doesn't have to define your future. Every item you release, every old thought pattern you shed, is a step toward a new chapter, one that reflects the person you are becoming. What are your thoughts on decluttering? Have you faced similar struggles? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest insights on living your best life in your golden years. Thanks for watching Golden Years Balance.